YouTube. Yep, there's a lot of videos on there, but which one is the best? That's the question I seek to answer today. The plan is simple. I gather a list of videos that I think are really good, a hashtag subjective, and then use objective factors to narrow the list down to 10. I'll then rank those videos by themselves from bottom to top, and at the end, we should have the subjectively, objectively best YouTube video. So, I compiled a list of 28 contenders for the best video on YouTube, and now all we have to do is eliminate 27 of them. But how are we going to do that? Well, to figure that out, we're going to have to come up with a few factors to judge the videos by, so then we can start eliminating them. The first factor is going to be emotional impact. How did I feel after watching this video? Did this video change the way that I look at things? How did this piece of art impact my emotional state for the better? Did I cry at the end of this video? Because at the end of the day, videos are still art and should be judged as such. Not by how many views the video has, but how the video made me feel. But we can't just base a video's quality off of this, because then every video on that list would just be a music video, and it would all be from Tyler the Creator. Fight me. So that's when production quality comes in. How well put together is this video? How's the pacing, the writing, the editing, and so on? This isn't to say how much effort or time or money was spent on the video, but how well did every facet of the video come together to serve the purpose or story of the video. Of course, more time or money can help with that, but with production quality, it's about the fluidness of the video. And as a last factor to tie all the qualities together is uniqueness. Would I be able to find a video like this somewhere else? If so, that video probably isn't going to be in the list. Uniqueness not just in video ideas, but also in all of the other factors that we talked about. How unique is the storytelling, the motion graphics, the sound design. But when I say uniqueness, I don't mean randomness. It's not solely about being different, it's about the video having its own unique style to it. For example, a video essay read out by an AI voice with stock pictures on screen could have a unique style, but the vast majority don't, and therefore wouldn't appear on this list. Alright, we have our factors and our list of videos, we just need to rank them now. Okay, first up, Roblox_oof by HBomberGuy. Aside from the usual fun of watching HBomberGuy go insane over the topic of his 3-hour-long video essays, this is a fantastic story about deceit and lies spread by none other than the man himself, Tommy Tallarico, disguised in a veil of the history of the Roblox death sound effect. This is seriously one of the best video essays I've ever watched, so it's getting a place in the top 10. 2. Can I Eat 10 Drive-Thru Meals Ordered by Strangers by DugDug. This video follows DugDug and his friends across LA to try and eat 10 fast food orders in a day. Except, you can only get what the people in front of them got in their order. Through the journey of eating 10 fast food orders, this video's storytelling is some of the best I've seen from DugDug. But because of the unusual setting of the video, it ended up feeling a little bit underproduced, so it's getting the guillotine. 3. I let an AI rewrite my LinkedIn profile and force spammers to read it. After getting countless emails from companies trying to hire him, DugDug uses an AI to write his LinkedIn profile to make it as unprofessional as possible. This is legitimately one of the funniest videos I've ever watched. The AI responses and the overarching story of Doug making himself the least recruitable he can is hilarious. But the story isn't as strong as I would have liked it to be, and so it's getting the knife. I brought a real lawyer to teach me gun safety. This is a more laid-back, stream-like video, maybe because it's a stream, but there's still definitely that DugDug-esque insanity to the video. Through the jokes between Doug and Parkster, this video is hilarious. The way that Doug tries to get Parkster to say that he would kill someone in a hypothetical situation is ridiculous, and I'm here for it. But it lacks a lot of the structure that this video would need to bring it up a notch, and so it's getting the hook. 5. Can Twitch chat beat itself in a video game tournament? In this masterpiece of a video by DugDug, he pits both sides of the alphabet, A Crew and Z Crew, against each other by taking everyone whose username starts with the first half of the alphabet and everyone whose username starts with the second half of the alphabet and putting them in a variety of Twitch chat plays competitions. The competitive rivalry between A Crew and Z Crew is really funny, but what tops it all off to secure it a place in the top 10 is at the very end, when A and Z Crew set aside their competition, band together, and dolphin flap into the sunset. I was literally in tears by the end of that video. It's that good. Bravo Vince out of 10. Number 6, The Great Mysteries of Gaming by Scott the Woz. This video does two things. One, it's an interesting and funny retrospective on gaming mysteries from games like Mario to Tomb Raider. But two, it's a hilarious murder mystery skit to fit the theme of the video. This has some of the best jokes from the Scott the Woz channel, as well as some of the best writing from his channel I've ever seen, covering all number of gaming mysteries. But the reason it's getting eliminated is that there are just a few Scott the Woz videos better, and that's why it's getting the spear. Number 7, Mario Party 2 Party Harder by Scott the Woz. Being the sequel to Mario Party Party Hard, this is one of Scott the Woz's best videos. The interesting critique of Mario Party 2 mixed with the skit-like scenario of Scott and his friends playing Mario Party 2 and the constant jokes and bits while they play the game is so delicately balanced that this video has to get props. But the reason why it's getting eliminated is because there's just one of his videos that are better, and so it's getting the mace. Number 8, Borderline Forever by Scott the Woz. This is the magnum opus of Scott the Woz, his masterpiece, with half of the video dedicated to talking about the rough history of Super Nintendo games, and the other half about the origin of the blue border, the thing that all Scott the Woz videos are in. The blue border in the story serves as a physical thing. When it enters your life, you can't see the floor because the board is in the way, but also as a sort of metaphor to the repetitiveness of life. All of the jokes hit. All of them. Vince Young and Brett Favre, cover athletes of Madden 08 and 9 respectively, both appear in this video. With the most airtight writing I've ever seen from Scott the Woz, this obviously deserves a spot in the top 10. Number 9, History of the Entire World, I Guess, by Bill Wirtz. As the title suggests, this video is about the history of the world, going from just a bunch of gas and space to early civilization to the modern day, all done at breakneck pace with the iconic style of his videos. Bill Wirtz has one of, if not the most unique styles on YouTube, with every second of video filled with his own music, visual effects, and design that, while looking unorganized, is incredibly meaningful and specifically put together to get across the meaning of the video. The only problem with it is that it can feel really fast at some points and can just get a bit confusing, so it's getting the fist. Number 10, we made all 78 Breath of the Wild recipes in one day, by Brian David Gilbert. This video is so off the rails and nothing seems like it would work, yet it all works just enough to make the video. The quest of making an absurd amount of food in a single day from a video game in a vain attempt to copy the masterpieces of dishes that Link manages to make with none of the required ingredients is funny and even a bit inspiring. Although because of the off-the-railsness of the whole video, it ended up feeling just a bit unstructured, so it's getting the rapier. Number 11, When Can Mario Retire by Brian David Gilbert. Something that Brian David Gilbert, BDG for short, is really good at is making real-life stories from video games. And what more real-life story is there than not being able to retire? Throughout this video, BDG slowly goes on a downward spiral from trying to figure out when Mario can retire to figuring out when he can retire, transforming into a comedically dark story. But the pacing of the whole video could use some work, so it's getting the missing plate chart. Number 12, Waluigi Unraveled, by Brian David Gilbert. On the surface, this video is about why Waluigi is great and should get his own game, with BDG going through every canonical appearance of Waluigi to try and make the perfect standalone Waluigi game. But the video slowly takes a turn as BDG lists the Waluigi truths, and he realizes that I'm not going to spoil the twist for you. But I will say this. The video turns from a light-hearted talk about Waluigi to a deep reflection on the self. This, coupled with the goal of trying to get cast as Waluigi in his first standalone game, makes this easily a top 10. Number 13, I Use The Sims to Perfect My Apartment, by Brian David Gilbert. Another video from BDG. This video follows as Brian tries to perfect his apartment in the video game The Sims to maximize the happiness of his avatar, to then trying to do that in his own apartment with hopefully the same effect. This video simultaneously manages to be a challenge video about game mechanics in a stupid game, but is also a beautiful story about social connection and loneliness. Top 10 out of 10. Number 14, Why Die by CGP Grey. In this 4.5 minute video, CGP Grey uses clever and concise wordplay that I quote on a weekly basis to argue a change in the way we look at and interact with death, trying not to accept it as a part of life, but to eliminate it as we did many other diseases, as the disease. Its writing and the message are really great, but it lacks the other facets of a good video, so it's getting the eliminated. Number 15, What Is House Even About? By Chazington. This video is a quote-unquote reaction to a House MD clip compilation, with funny commentary and sometimes slight changes to the video for comedic effect, and this is probably the most consistently funny video on YouTube. The bits are really strong, but it lacks production value and some uniqueness. Funny out of 10, but it's still getting the battle axe. Number 16, The History of the Downward Spiral by Emplemon. This video is on the list mostly because it tells the story of a YouTuber's rise to fame and all the struggles that came with it, especially at a young age. and as someone who wants to make videos for a living, I really enjoyed this video. Aside from that, the storytelling and pacing are great, especially for an hour-and-a-half long video, but the production quality isn't so great, as most of the A-roll is just a lone shot of Implement in the right third of the shot, so it's getting the crossbow. Number 17, Then Next Comes, by Exuber1A. In this video, Exuber1A talks about the potential advancements of humanity, like the elixir of eternal nightlife, for maximum convenience and pleasure in the inner workings of the mind through the medium of a science fiction story told across hundreds of centuries. The video seems to be just a made-up story about how the future could be if advancements kept going, but at the very end of the video, there's an aha moment which makes it all connect back to the present day and real world problems. The only part that I don't particularly like is the lack of unique visual animation or style, so it's getting the ring thrown into Mountain Doomed. Number 18, How to Be Correct About Everything All the Time by Exuber1A. This eloquently titled video covers being wrong as a person and a community wandering the earth. Exuber1A shares sentiments from history, like the belief that the earth was flat, and also sentiments from his own life about being wrong and falling into misconceptions. But the video is also kind of like, hey, humans are wrong like all the time, man, but we still have the capability to be kind, and that's pretty cool. Exuber1A's style of telling related stories to the concept of the video and looking at the big picture really shine through here, with unique visuals and a funny intro and a map. Definitely top 10. Number 19, Your Grammar Sucks number 100 by Jax Films. Your Grammar Sucks, aka YGS, was a series on the channel Jax Films, where he critiques and goes over grammar mistakes sent in by fans of his on the internet. And the hundreds of these is an hour-long video with different challenges, bits, and skits incorporated. This video is fantastic, and I've rewatched this, again, hour-long video many times. But it lacks some coherence and just isn't as good as some of the other entries on the list, so it's getting the rear naked joke. Number 20, Thalassophobia by Solar Sands. Thalassophobia is the fear of deep water, and this video covers just that. I originally watched this video at 2 AM. Don't watch this video at 2 AM. The eeriness of this video extends beyond just, the ocean is scary, man, and really dives deep, barfs, into the topic, talking about why thalassophobia is such a common fear and telling many stories involving bad experiences with the ocean. Some the video makers own and some not. Its intense focus on fear and horrifying stories while yet talking about the strange peacefulness of the ocean makes this such an enjoyable watch, although sometimes it can come across as a bit generic, so for that, it's getting the mustard gas. Number 21, Everything is Television by Solar Sands. This is one of the greatest videos I've ever watched. Now, I don't know if it's because I have just had a lot of the same experiences that were described in the video. I don't know if it's because it's just a great video, but I don't think I'll watch anything like Everything is Television in a long time. The video is about the phenomenon and experience, especially with other people in a social circumstance, that you're there literally, but you feel as if you're looking from the outside in, never truly experiencing with other people, just watching, kind of like television. Even when you do interact with others, it still feels like you aren't there, that you can't be there, that something is stopping you from just talking, being with other people. Since I've moved, I've had a lot of these experiences. It all can feel just so fake, but the video ends with a message to everyone watching who can relate with the video, that no matter how hard it is to talk, to engage with others, you have to try. Because sometimes you aren't just standing by. Sometimes you're there. Top 10. Also plagiarism. I plagiarized that whole last part. That's all from the video, but please go watch the video. Number 22. I Drove to Every Margaritaville in the USA by Ted Nivison. If there was a best I blanked every blank video, this would be it. The journey and challenge of two friends going to every Margaritaville in the US mixed with a genuinely dramatic story of going from hating Jimmy Buffett in Margaritaville to falling in love with the mascots in the restaurant makes for one of the best stories I've seen from a YouTube video. Top Jimmy Buffett out of 10. Number 23, Super Tasks by Vsauce. With one of the most memorable intros to a Vsauce video, Super Tasks is a video that I've rewatched at least 10 times. The video's topic, Super Tasks, are a task that, while being within a finite amount of time, has an infinite amount of steps. like the Zeno paradox, where a runner covers half the remaining distance to a goal over and over and over again. The goal is never reached because there's always another halfway point, but it's all contained within a set amount of time. The special style that information is presented in this video represents Vsauce's unique craft. It makes a seemingly uninteresting topic a video that I'm glued to every time I watch it. Despite this though, some examples that he talks about can go on and on, so it's getting the nuclear bomb. This video is neck and neck with a different Vsauce video, but it isn't quite at the same level as Do Chairs Exist by Vsauce. Do Chairs Exist is an introspection on what is real and the labels that we give to everything around us. It goes through many of the philosophical stances on what it means for something to be a thing. For example, a chair to be a chair. The base idea of the video is robustly supported by the examples and philosophies presented, so it's getting a spot in the top 10. Number 25, AI is Here, What Now by Eddie Burback. AI is Here, What Now is a retrospective on AI and how the companies that market and push AI are trying to take away the ability for humans to express themselves through their products. This video is so great in a gigantic sort of way, because it touches on a modern day issue, the commoditization of expression through art, human expression. And throughout the video, Eddie tries various AI products to give them an honest shake, but they're underdeveloped and overhyped. Easy top 10. Number 26, Good Ol' PU by the Citizen Brain. This is one of the best YTPs I've ever seen, with so many quotable lines.
When a cop gives you a lawful command, say no.
But some jokes can seem in your face and overextend their welcome sometimes, so it's getting the Dennis Prager. Number 27, MatPat's Final Theory by The Game Theorists. This video perfectly sums up what the theorist channels are about. Through the talk about the concept of game theory, education mixed with entertainment and community. The only thing that restricts it from being in the top 10 is that the focus of the video isn't super well defined, so it's getting the gun. And finally, number 28, How I Became the Fastest Pencil Sharpener in the World by Small Ant. This is a classic for me, as I used to watch Small Ant regularly, and the writing and storytelling of the quest to the top of the pencil sharpening ranks is really interesting. But the storytelling isn't that unique, and the coherence of the video isn't always there. It's a really great video, and it's in the top 28 for a reason, but it definitely has its flaws, so it's getting the trebuchet. Okay, so now that we have our top 10, we can get down and dirty, figure out what exactly makes one of these videos better or worse than the rest. So, what we have here now is the top 10 YouTube videos, at least in my opinion. So, now what we have to do is actually, rank them, order them. And let's start from the bottom and see if we can go from there. If there was one video here that is just a little bit worse than any of the other ones, I think it would be Do Chairs Exist. It is a really great Vsauce video, legitimately one of the best ones that I've seen. And not to fault it for not having any story elements, but in my opinion, in my biased opinion, a great video is gonna have some sort of story element to it. And if you just have it be okay, well, Do Chairs Exist, whatever, philosophies cover this, and are oh, this is why we think chairs do exist, or chairs are this, or just, you can have that as much as you want, but it's just not gonna be able to compete with things like Roblox _oof from H-Bomber Guy, Doug, Eddie Burback, BDG. It's just not gonna have that same hit. So it's gonna stay here at the end of the list at number 10. Okay, so next up would be one that's a little bit better than that. Roblox oof is definitely not gonna go in number 9. Doug's could. Okay, so I think Eddie Burback's video, AI is Here, What Now, is gonna have to be number 9. Why? Because it is really a fantastic video. It is again, one of the best videos I've seen on the internet, or period. But the thing is, the topic that he covers, it would only be relevant for so long. He uploaded that video 8 months ago, and already it's kind of outdated, right? A lot of these AI features that he covered, they change. And while I for sure definitely do agree with his sentiment on the whole thing and all the points that he brings up about it, I don't think that it warrants anything higher than 9th place just because of its trendiness. So number 8, none of these look right. to be number 8. Except for maybe... Okay, I think I have my next two rankings in place. So, number 8 is gonna have to go to Doug's A Crew versus Z Crew video. I actually forgot the title of it. But, his A Crew versus Z Crew video where, A Crew and Z Crew band together at the end. So, I think the reason why this is number 8 is because, again, all these videos are so great. It's just the tiny, tiny little flaws that they have in them that, like, you know, make them 10th or 9th or 8th place. And I think there wasn't just enough lead up to the A Crew and Z Crew, you know, like, banding together portion at the very end of the video. And of course, because like it's fucking Twitch chat, you can't plan any of that. And it's still a really great video, but I think it lacked just some of that, just a little bit of build up. So number 7, we're getting very close to 5 and then 1. Okay, I think number 7, because it can't be like Waluigi Unraveled or Borderline Forever or Everything is Television. I think it has to go to Eddie Burbach's I Travel to Every Margaritaville in the US. I think at this point though, it's not even a matter of like, is it better or worse, and it's just like which one is a little bit better than the rest, which one did it just a tiny bit better. And I think that there's like really nothing wrong with this video. Everything in this video is fantastic. It's just that all the other videos that we have after this are just so good that Ted Nivison's Margaritaville video just isn't gonna cut it. So we have our first 4 rankings. Do Chairs Exist? AI is Here, What Now? Doug's A Crew versus Z Crew, and Ted Nivison's Margaritaville video. Now for number 6, it can't be either of these 3, so it's gonna have to come between I Use Sims to Recreate My Apartment and then Waluigi Unraveled. But I think the plot twist in Waluigi Unraveled and the explanation of it all is just like just a tiny bit better than I Used Sims to Recreate My Apartment. And so I think that's why Sims is gonna get number 6. Again, not that there's anything wrong with these videos, just that they're doing tiny little things that make all of these better than these. Down to our last 4. This is a really tough one. It's either Borderline Forever, H-Bomber Guys, Roblox Oof, or Waluigi Unraveled. I don't know which one. See, the thing is, Borderline Forever has so many notable like quotes and lines and jokes and has such a funny story to it, but H-Bomber Guy's video is also really funny in its own right and has an insane story to it, and Waluigi Unraveled is like a cinematic masterpiece in its own right in writing. They're just so different of videos, but I think it's going to have to be H-Bomber Guys, Roblox Oof. It's just like Borderline Forever, Everything is Television, and Waluigi Unraveled are just so much better videos. Not even so much, just like marginally tiny, just a tiny bit better. Okay, and then there were 3. I think in 3rd place, I think this is easy now. I think this is very easy, actually. In 3rd place, it's going to be Waluigi Unraveled. I think the only sort of kind of just a tiny bit problem with it is that it could have been a little bit longer to have the satisfying reveal that, again, I'm not going to tell you, pay off at the end a little bit better. And so now we have Everything is Television by Solar Sounds and Borderline Forever by Scott the Woz. This is going to be tough because Everything is Television is like the perfect essay, video essay, the way that it makes you feel. But there is one thing. Remember how over here I said that Eddie Burbach's video was just a little bit too topical and could become irrelevant later? It lives on YouTube because of the mention of the global pandemic in Everything is Television and the topicalness of that video. I think it is going to go in 2nd place. I think that Everything is Television is the best video essay ever made, but I think Borderline Forever is the best video ever crafted. Not because its special effects are really good, or the acting is you know, like, super great, or whatever, or the prop design, or the sound, or the editing, or whatever. But the core 2 things that Scott the Woz does are perfectly, and I mean perfectly illustrated in this video. What does Scott the Woz do? He talks about stupid Nintendo games, and he makes ridiculous and funny jokes. and skits with his friends. And that is this hour-long video. That's it. That's the whole video. There is not a second that goes by where one of those two things is not happening. He perfectly hones in on his skills and craft to make the perfect video. And there you have it. It's kind of scuffed. It is actually, no, very scuffed. And that is the ranking. I think that is it. Borderland Forever is one of those videos that you know that there's only one of when you see it. Whether you hate or love this video, you can't deny the smooth pacing and story beats, superb editing and sound design for what Scott was working with, and his all too quotable one-liners. But despite my rankings, you could have a totally different opinion than me. And that's great. You're entitled to think that all these videos are trash and whatever other video is the best. But Borderland Forever did get a 9.7 out of 10 on IMDb, so keep that in mind when you're making your list.